and 7% of the people own 75% of the land, and you got, you know, black South Africans that's their country. You know what I'm saying? Who's lived there their whole life. Not saying these white farmers don't have any access to the country, but for 7% of the people to own 75% of the land.
Maybe they're getting beat up.
What awaits them on a call-out is usually a scene of indescribable brutality. Like so many other victims, this elderly couple arrived back home from church on a Sunday morning. In a macabre display, the killers left their Bibles displayed on the bodies. In an outside room, a third member of the family was tied up with wire, then tortured and killed. Scenes like these are difficult to forget, and to deal with the trauma, even the most hardened policemen often need psychiatric counseling. An old man's hand resting on the arm of his wife of many years. She raped, police say probably while he was forced to watch. Finally, with their throats slit, they died next to each other.
And maybe they're in bad shape, but no land was seized. They own 3/4 of the land, and they're just 4% of people. So does that look like they're abused?
That's how he won't say what happened exactly, because he's a genocide denier. He denies that 1.5 million Armenians were killed in the genocide.
However, they still own 3/4 of the country's individually owned farms, and they hold a majority of the country's wealth per the South Africa Human Rights Commission.
The land of our forefathers and our foremothers must return to our people without any fail and without any payment of compensation. And it must happen now.
The envisaging of extending territory, whether it is conquering, again, territory that has been long lost to a neighbouring country in the past, the vision of extending territorial power and what should be done with the land is an important precursor that can be seen sometimes in the advanced propaganda of genocidal regimes, as well as this concept of the past that needs to be restored. Lost territory goes along with that.
We don't care about their feelings. They must be happy. We are not calling for genocide.
Of pensioners, people in wheelchairs, and torturing them for hours, blow tortures, cutting them up. There are cases where, and this is really graphic if you read about it, they're horrendous sexual assault using bottles and knives to cut apart genitalia, hours and hours of brutal torture, rape of children in front of parents or in front of grandparents. These sort of this is sending a message. This is gratuitous. This is not just an act of murder.
That gave over 90% of South Africa's land to whites. Today, they are some 7% of the population, white South Africans, but they still own about half, 50% of the country's land.
Our model of genocide shows, since denial is the final stage, in fact, also begins at the very beginning of all genocide. Denial is always present in genocide. The South African government has denied and covered up this crisis by not releasing any breakdown of how murders are distributed among ethnic groups in South Africa since 2007.
That is what we are worried is happening now. We are worried that there are organized groups that are in fact doing that planning. We raised South Africa from stage 5 to stage 6 when Julius Malema began to go around singing the Shoot the Boer song again. It became clear to us that the Youth League was in fact this kind of an organization. It was planning this kind of genocidal massacre and also forced displacement. of whites from South Africa. And so we raised it to 6. When Julius Malema was then, thanks to the TAU and others, tried for hate speech and was convicted and was in fact enjoined by the judge from ever singing that song again, we said, oh, you know, there was a great sense of relief from some of us that maybe South Africa was pulling back. But then the president himself started singing this.
In 85% of last year's farm attacks, nothing had been stolen. The murder rate for white farmers is the highest of any group in the entire world, and it's not just farmers who are victims. An estimated 35,000 non-farm whites have been murdered on the roads and in their homes and businesses across South Africa. But perhaps the most shocking thing is that many of you watching this know nothing about it.
By the strictest definition of what a human being is, white people are just below human beings. You are negotiating with an animal.